For millennia, readers have often asked, who is the Israel of God? Is Paul referring to ethnic Israel, that is, according to the flesh, as Paul writes elsewhere? Or to New Testament Christians, also known as the church made up of both Jews and Gentiles? A strong clue comes from 1 Peter 2, verse 10, where Peter writes to Christian believers in Asia Minor as well, saying, once you were not a people, but now you are the people of God. You had not received mercy, but now you have received mercy. Peter is using language straight from the prophet Hosea in the Old Testament. In Hosea's day, God gave symbolic names to the rebellious northern tribes, like not my people and no mercy. But Hosea also promised that God would one day reverse those names, show mercy again, and restore the people as his own, calling them my people and children of the living God. Peter takes this Old Testament promise, originally spoken about the ethnic Israel of the Old Testament, and directly applies it to Christians. In the same passage in 1 Peter 2, he also calls Christians a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for God's own possession. These were all titles first given to the nation of Israel back in the book of Exodus, chapter 19. In other words, Peter is saying the mercy promised through Hosea, the mercy that makes a people God's people, has now come to you, Gentile Christians, through Jesus. As Anthony states in his footnote to 1 Peter 2, verse 9, these are Old Testament descriptions of the status and position of Israel, now referred to the New Covenant international believers as the Israel of God, Galatians 6:16, and the true circumcision, Philippians 3, verse 3. This backdrop helps us better understand Paul's words in Galatians 6:16. Paul gives his blessing of peace and mercy to the Christian church and then calls them, quote, the Israel of God. The phrase "and mercy" is rare in Paul's blessings, but it fits perfectly with the Hosea 1 Peter theme. Those who have now received mercy are the people of God. So here a few key takeaways. Peter explicitly applies Hosea's promise, now you are the people of God, now you have received mercy, to Christians, Jews and Gentiles alike. Paul uses the same mercy language and applies it to Christians in Galatia, calling them the Israel of God. Taken together, this shows that the phrase the Israel of God is not a separate group from the Christian church. Rather, it is the church, the multi-ethnic people who have received God's promised mercy in Messiah. And 1 Peter 2, verse 10 makes clear that Paul's Israel of God in Galatians 6:16 is the international covenant community of believers in Messiah, the true people of God living under the law of Messiah, not the law of Moses.